If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure what to do next, this episode you truly need. Because today we're talking about something most people avoid their entire lives. We're going to talk through pain. And here's the truth that changed everything for me and will have an impact on you. There's two things. Pain is not the problem. Pain is growth trying to happen. It's not punishment, not failure, but life asking you to become more. A part of life's confidence is showing up in uncertainty and being okay with it, not eliminating it, not solving it, but standing in it. Because what we do inside pain and uncertainty is to create stories about how things will go. We assume the worst, we spiral, we freeze. But your job is not to control the outcomes. Your job is to summon the best of who you are, to become stronger than before. In that moment, in the fear, in the unknown, you must create the best version of you. By doing this, you will create your own demand. And when you are a self-reliant, confident, and the high agency person who writes their own story, well, pain is teaching you to grow. And as you grow through the pain, there will be struggle. But struggle is something to be honored. It's something to be acknowledged and work through positively. What you have here is a choice to learn from the pain or have a willingness to go into the struggle where there's no expansion, no growth. I'm here to tell you that pain is growth. And to learn from it and to choose to move forward, you'll have the best life of your dreams. You'll have expansion and growth that will be tremendous. So part one, summoning the best version of yourself. Well, part of life involves confidence. And inside confidence is being okay with uncertainty. Because if you think about it, uncertainty is not real. There is no uncertainty anywhere that will ever be fixed. That's the definition of uncertainty. What we do as humans is we make ourselves believe that things are going to turn out really bad, and that belief makes us feel bad. And you're stuck in that uncertainty. And that belief system will play over and over again in your head. Or we look at situations and we don't know how it will turn out. And that unknown becomes an internal battle. It freaks us out, right? Something you do not have control over is an invitation for your beliefs to take over. The voice inside your head, you have the angel and the devil, both negative and positive. It's geared to protect you, no matter what the uncertainty is. But your job isn't to know how everything perfectly turns out. I use that word perfectly. This is a symptom of imposter syndrome. And most of us have that moment of doubt in some situations. But you need to remember that your focus is to make sure that you are positioning yourself as the best version of you. When you don't know what to do, you want to summon the best version of who you especially are. You're facing something that requires a lot of faith and a lot of attention, even if you do not know how it's going to turn out. When you realize you don't have control over it, I know your brain is racing right now. You're like, what? Summon who? I don't have control. As high achievers, this is how you've gotten by. But in uncertainty, you need to focus on becoming the best version. But here's something I want you to do. To summon the best version of you is by having a vision. Look at it for a moment and ask yourself, what could life be like even if this is true? If I get the result I wanted, what would that look like? Things like, even if I lose this person, even if I don't get the job, even if I move into a new city, even if the outcome is hard, what would my vision be? Orient ourselves towards our future vision is what inspires hope and action. When our time and attention are placed within a forward motion, everything changes. You become the change. You become the change maker, not just the uncertain, scared person. You are making changes, and you can change things. You can move things. And even if you can't change the circumstances or the event that happens to you, you can change your vision for what happens afterwards. Remember, you write your own story. And when you have a vision, your story will become clear. You'll have clarity. Instead of focusing on the event of the pain and the struggle, ask yourself, What would I do next? By asking yourself this question, it puts you back in planning mode, in ambition mode. And your attention towards a future state is always more hopeful than wandering around saying, I don't know. Things are so uncertain. I guess I shouldn't do anything. It's about rewriting your story. My story was I had a stroke, a moment of struggle and uncertainty. Stroke took my voice. Everything felt hard. Speaking, processing, thinking, dealing with folks. But I had a choice. I could collapse into it or I could grow through it. And I realized this isn't who I am. This is what I'm moving through. That shift changes everything. So ask yourself the question, what if? Okay, so as you're moving through change, there's actually three zones of change. What most people don't change, what's happening, is that they're stuck in one mode. In order to understand this, let me explain what levels of change you need to go through. Plus, let me also go over the emotions that are driving our performance. So the first zone is called the comfort zone. Most people spend most of their lives in the comfort zone, and this is pretty obvious. You get into the comfort mode, you're just there, it feels good, you don't want to change. And most people live in the comfort zone. And I want to be clear. Comfort is not the enemy. Comfort is like confidence, it's repetition, it's stability, but comfort becomes dangerous. In the personal development world, people are always knocking comfort. Comfort's good, right? A great pizza night, watching your favorite movie with your favorite cocktail, that's comfortable. That's good. The comfort zone only becomes a problem when you are required to become more. When you're required to handle something uncomfortable and you refuse to engage, now we have a problem. But comfort becomes dangerous when it turns into avoidance. If you're avoiding the truth, if you're avoiding growth, if you're avoiding decisions, that's when people lose momentum. When comfort becomes avoidance of life, of your ambitions, of your real problems, now we have a problem. Comfort joined with avoidance is where growth stops. The other area is the demand zone. So we had the comfort zone and now we're in the demand zone. Now we stepped into it, and this is the place where people change because it's demanded of them. They're forced into a corner. They have to make a major decision. And this is where life stretches you, sometimes to a place of uncomfortableness. There's an obligation at work, something shifts and directly, personally impacts them. Someone may leave if you don't change, may impact your finances, your family, your friends. The demand zone is very powerful. You cannot reach high achievement in your life unless you enter it, where it says you're capable of more. Now prove it. This is an area where you have to step into areas that are a little harder and may challenge you and your performance, such as, let's just say you take on a new position or you got to move to another state. That's uncomfortable. That forces you into the demand zone. Or let's say you want to join a group and there's little more advancement. How about you engage in conversations slightly outside your comfort zone? For me, it was in a position when I had a fire over 100% of the people. Talk about demanding certain performance. We have demand all over the place. And you want to take on responsibilities where you can ask yourself, can I measure up? And your answer should be, I don't know, but let me try. What you don't know is that an incredibly empowering place to be. It means that you are the person who crafts meaning. You're the person who decides your attitude and your ambitions. Remember, you're writing your story. In that new future, remember your vision. If you think about it clearly, there is a demand for you to become more, to skill up, and to let go of old stories, and to write your own story. You want to handle the situation, the circumstance, the opportunity. And most people don't enter this space by choice. It's a demand zone. They're pushed into it. That was my stroke. Everything I thought I was gone in a second. And life said, now rebuild. That's the demand. I don't know your background. Many of you have had stories, and I would love to hear them. But most are focused on old demands that most likely weren't good. We all have parents, and maybe the demands were strict. Maybe others demanded you fit in while demeaning you in the process. I get it. We all have something, families, careers, friends. I know, I get it. But you need to focus your attention to the demands of your future, your ambition and your goals, your overall vision. needs your attention. Your attention needs to shift to the demands of your future. And I promise you, if you really think about it, think about your future, thinking about your story, thinking about your vision, there's a demand for you to become more, to skill up, and to handle the circumstance. And I promise you, in this area, you will grow. The last zone is the purpose zone. And where true greatness and high achievement lives is purpose. You need to change not just because you have a comfort zone and not just because you're being demanded of it, but because you sense a pull, a cause, a purpose. Something is driving you, a mission, a dream, the voice of God, whatever that is. That is where your true purpose is. Most people never change because they never sought a calling. They never defined their purpose. Most people scroll through everybody's highlight reels on social media and never envision their own purpose because they have no vision, no ambition, no achievement bigger than what's in front of them, right in front of them. And so they just don't develop. The last place, and this is where true growth, true expansion, and real achievement lives, is what I call the purpose zone. You don't change just because you're comfortable. You don't change just because life demands it. You change because something inside of you says, there's more. There's more in you. There's more for you. And there's more being asked of you. And that's not pressure. This is what's called a pull. Have you ever had that feeling that you can't explain? That voice that shows up when things get quiet? That thought that keeps coming back? This isn't it. I'm meant for something bigger. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. Most people never change because they never define what they're moving towards. They don't lack capability. They lack direction. They lack vision. They lack something that's strong enough to pull them forward when things get hard. So what do they do instead? They scroll, they watch other people's builds lives, they compare, they consume. But they never stop long enough to ask, what is my life asking of me? Because purpose is not something you find, it's something you decide. It's something you claim, and it's something you build. And here where it gets real. Purpose is not always loud and it's not always clear. It doesn't always show up as this is exactly what you're meant to do. Sometimes it show up as discomfort or, recklessness, frustration, knowing you outgrown your current life. That is purpose trying to get your attention. And this is where everything comes together because pain is often the doorway to purpose. Pain disrupts you. It wakes you up. It forces you to reevaluate. And that's what my stroke did. It stripped away everything away. And in that silence, in that rebuilding, I had to ask, who am I now? What actually matters? What is my life asking of me next? Purpose is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be without the fear, without the noise, and without the old story. And when you have purpose, everything changes. Pain doesn't stop you. Struggle doesn't break you. Demand doesn't overwhelm you because now you have a reason. You have a direction, a next version of you that you're moving towards. So if you feel stuck right now, or if you feel like something is off, or if you feel like you've outgrown your life, that's not the problem. That's a signal. And it's your life saying it's time. So we all have emotions, and there's emotions that drive or stop the change. So I want to go over 4 of them to help you walk through these zones. The first is contentment. One of the things that we all want is contentment. You want to feel satisfied. You want to feel good. You want to feel like I have enough, like I am enough. I want to appreciate things around me. I want to feel content about my life's journey. Genuine contentment gives you an edge because when you don't need more, you get to play. You get to be fully present. Contentment doesn't make you soft, it amplifies you. And one suggestion I have is to show gratitude. I know you all of us in a professional development says you have to be grateful. But the reality is gratitude doesn't make you soft. Aliveness doesn't make you soft. It makes you faster. So wake up every day and show gratitude. When you feel alive, oh my God, it's an amazing thing. When you feel a sense of lack, on the other hand, no wonder you avoid. Lack steals your vision. It's like a blinder. I feel like it feels like it lacks worth, it lacks beliefs, lacks, capability. Of course, you won't engage. That's why so many people in personal development focuses on gratitude first because it's an amplifier. If I can't get you to appreciate life, you'll handle demands better. Once you appreciate life, you'll handle demands better. Give a moment of gratitude first. Wake up and list 3 things you're grateful for. For me, I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful for my daughter. Without her, I don't know where I would be. And I'm grateful to share my story with you. So, what are you grateful for? Here's what most people miss. And if you feel like you're always lacking, you will avoid growth because demand feels like proof you're not enough. But when you feel enoughness or you feel groundedness or inner stability, you respond differently. You don't collapse under the pressure, you rise inside it. And this is where real strength comes from, right? Stronger than before. This is where real strength comes from. You want to be stronger than you were before. The second emotion is aliveness. Now there's a shift. Now that shifts something important. People think I feel good when things get easier. That's not true. You feel aliveness when you engage, when you stretch, when you move, when you grow. There's an energy that comes from becoming, and that energy is available even in the hard moments. Now I get it. In my comfort, I take a lot of joy and happiness. When I do something I generally enjoy, there's a different level of emotion, a different energy. But I want you to learn to have joy and aliveness through demand. This is where the magic happens. Most people think contentment and aliveness only happen in the comfort zone. But in the demand zone, in that high achievement, you can be content. You can work through things with a joyful attitude. Do you bring joy into the demands of your day? Because all of this change most people need in their lives is going to happen in the demand zone. And you need to bring joy and contentment to it. The third emotion is struggle. And let's talk about it for a while, because this is where people stop. Struggle is not failure, it's feedback. It's telling you you're in a space you haven't mastered yet. And instead of saying, I can't do this, what high performance says, I am learning this. Struggle will always be present in every area of your life. In your comfort zone, you struggle to break out of it. In the demand zone, you struggle because it requires more knowledge, skill, or competency than you currently have. That's normal. That's all right. The real question is, does the struggle overwhelm you so much that it stops your forward progress? I want to say that again. Does the struggle overwhelm you so much that it stops your motion? If you are struggling with something year after year and it stops your forward motion, then it's time to talk to a therapist. A cognitive behavior therapist, especially, can help you understand the genesis of those thoughts and where they may be coming from. If struggle stops you, you have not had the life that you deserve. Struggle is something to be honored and acknowledged, seen, felt. Work through positively. Even if you didn't choose that struggle, even if it didn't, if you didn't want it, struggle is something to be engaged, but you need to separate yourself from the event. Honor the struggle. I believe it's asking something of you. And even if you don't know where there's suffering or struggle in your life or in your humanity, you don't have to know that answer. The question is, do you engage it? Do you have forward momentum in your life towards your goals, your dreams, even when it's a struggle? If struggle shuts you down, that's not a character flaw. That's a skill issue. You don't have yet the competency in problem solving, in resilience, and know-how for navigating that particular challenge. Maybe you don't have that knowledge or the resources, or maybe the people around you. You have to get those things. You have to pull in the skills and the resources you need. When I drove to Michigan after my stroke, the fear was overwhelming. Everyone says you can't do it. You're a failure. What are you doing? I mean, all of this was in my head. The fear was overwhelming. Not the drive, the story in my head about the drive. The voice inside my head that was negative and telling me that same old story. You cannot, you cannot. But what I discovered is those words you cannot motivated me to prove that I can. The fear was louder than the reality. And when I got there, I didn't just feel relief. I felt pride. I felt strength. I felt aliveness because I didn't avoid it. I moved through it. Struggle is not something you simply stop because you feel it. You have to ask, am I really being overwhelmed by this, or am I zooming in on stopping progress? Very few struggles in life stop progress long term. High performers face a struggle and a zoom out. They say, this is going to be a season of struggle. It's difficult. But the bigger picture, eventually I'll work through this. Eventually it gets better. And as I work through it, this is the direction I'm going. There is still forward momentum. Think of a flashlight. And when you're facing your struggles, you move that light outwards towards your family, towards your friends, your coworker, to your clients, and do not place this inward. Where you are forced to look at your failures by looking inward is not a place you want to be. You want to zoom out your energy. You want to zoom out and move to others and to feel a sense of movement. You ultimately create your own demands in life, your own goals, your own next levels. You create your own demand when you are self-reliant, when you're a high agency person. You will struggle yourself right through to the next levels of comfort. If your struggle is eating you alive, I need you to zoom out. Struggle is a season, and it's not forever. Struggle is usually a season marked by a lack of confidence, a lack of the right people around you, or the lack of the right strategies. We all struggle. I struggle. You struggle. It's normal. Struggle is not something to be avoided. You honor it. And notice the language. I have to struggle through learning the next new thing. I have to struggle through this relationship. I have to struggle through this difficult conversation. Now shift to I'm willing to struggle through this because it makes me better. Willingness to struggle is so foreign to most people, and that's why they stay stuck. The fourth is pain. I know, a lot of struggle and a lot of behavior in both of our comfort and demand zones is built on how we perceive them. Pain doesn't go away. Just as there will be struggle in the future, there will be pain in your future. We're humans. Many people are paralyzed by contemplating future pain, the pain that hasn't happened yet and may not ever. When people believe pain is coming, they don't want to move into it. They don't want to move at all. The difference I've learned from people who achieved greatness is this. As much as they honored struggle, they honored pain. But pain is never the full picture for them. They see pain and they see also all the paths around it. Not all the pain is the same. There's destructive pain that breaks you, depletes you, and it keeps you small. That pain is a signal to change direction. For me, it was my stroke, losing my mother, losing my job, having my 22-year-old become my voice. I needed to change direction. But then there's also an instructive pain, which stretches you, challenges you, and builds you. That pain is growth in motion. The power is knowing the difference. There is always pain in growing something new. When the pain happens, you are focused on the pain and the struggle. I completely understand. But the question I want to ask you is, can you endure it? Can you appreciate you? Can you appreciate it? And can you bring joy? Can you honor the struggle even when pain is there? I know that's very hard questions because overall pain is growth. When it moves into instructive pain and it stretches you and it challenges you and it builds you, that pain is growth in motion. There are always painful decisions that you're going to have to make. Life is full of pain. It is how you overcome the pain where you will grow. Is there a painful decision you've been waiting to make? Are you avoiding the pain and not willing to make that decision? I'm not asking you to make it today. I'm asking you to start planning and preparing for it. If you know something painful is coming, start preparing now. If you have to let someone go, start planning it now. If you have to change a relationship, start planning it now. If you want to move on in your career, plan it now. Go into this as prepared and as strong as you can be. Now that is where growth comes from. I just want to thank you for being here, and I appreciate you and showing you how pain can lead to your growth. So many people ask, how do I advance in my life and stay consistent in my personal development? How do I get real lasting progress? How do I become? The answer is simple, but not easy. Show up in uncertainty. Summon the best of who you are. Honor the struggle and keep your attention moving forward. That is where change lives. That is where you live. And at your best, become stronger than before. Every day is a great day to grow, but you have to stay consistent and you have to get real progress and truly change your life.